What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fanatically Speaking. I'm Kent.
I'm Logoff. I'm the Logoff legend. And we're here to say everything that every fan is thinking, but louder and probably a little crazier. Get ready. This is Fanatically Speaking with Kent and Logoff. You know what's funny? Like, I'm not a social media hater. I'm a social media hater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that I get on the internet and start hating people on social media. That's not what I do.
The first half was absolutely horrible. You know, just inept offense, inept defense, special teams, you name it.
I'm going to turn into Oprah. Why were you so angry?
He sucks this season. This game, whatever's going on, right? And the very next pitch, guess what they do? They double homer. And he's like, told you, Dad. Why are you always knocking down people?
You got the highs and the lows.
Yeah. So I do that.
You need the highs and the lows. And
so I do that. Yeah. But
I'm trying to be the voice of reason here.
I am what I am. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. I am Kent, the co-host and promoter.
I am Logoff, the Logoff legend, the hater of social media. I am the co-host and producer of the show.
All right, what do we have on tap for today's episode?
So today we're going to go over all the top teams in the NBA. Obligatory. We just kind of pick the top in each conference. So the top three teams in each conference, Eastern and Western Conference in the NBA. We're just going to kind of do a breakdown. The NBA season just started, but there's quite a few surprises, in the NBA schedule that I kind of wanted to go over and just look to see whether or not we think these teams have a legitimate shot at a championship. I know it's early, but I think there's going to be some surprises, and then there's going to be some things that we expect. Let's get to the hardwood.
All right.
And I'm going to start with what I think is the funner conference to talk about, which is actually probably the worst conference. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
We're going to go through the three top teams in that conference. So we've got Detroit, Toronto, and Cleveland. We're going to switch this up from how we did with the NFL one. So let's start with the Detroit Pistons. Came out of the season blazing. Highest winning percentage in the league, behind OKC. They have, a lot of young players on their team, a lot of young stars. Obviously, the biggest name on that team is Cade Cunningham. And then, honestly, a lot of guys, some veterans on that roster, but a lot of guys that you don't really have a lot of confidence in. But they're out here winning games. How do you feel about the Detroit Pistons kind of winning, running through the East right now?
Man, Cade Cunningham last year made a huge jump, right? We knew he had talent. We knew, again, top pick. All this, waiting for it. Because I kept saying, okay, I know he can play, but, has he done anything? Man, he made the jump last year, and he's killing it again this year, averaging, 27 points a game. Obviously, like I said, they're off to a hot start. And then you add in, I'm looking at them, too, and I'm like, Jalen Duren is like, the Hornets drafted that dude and traded him on draft night. So add that to that Charlotte Hornet history. Not going to go into that, but just saying, add that name to the Charlotte Hornets history of draft fumbles. Dude is averaging, 20 points, 11 boards right now. The Pistons do have some veterans. Right now they're playing well. As we know, the regular season, it's one of those situations where I say I could see them, maybe, but regular season doesn't really matter. J.B. Bickerstaff's their head coach. He also was the head coach previously in Cleveland, and he had a stacked roster, and they didn't win. So,
okay, yeah, and I think this is classic NBA basketball perspective. Young team, surprising everyone, coming out of nowhere. Are they playoff proven? I think this is a bigger detriment to a team having a hot start more so than in any other sport, because playoff experience matters. Just not one and done like it is in the NFL. In the NBA, you get 7 games. So there's more chances for injury. There's more chances for changes in lineups, more changes in matchups. And it gives you a chance to kind of figure a team out. Maybe a team gets exposed in the first round, and then in the second round, that team takes advantage of that, and then eliminates them. So I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's a great story, better than anything, to have Detroit have some success as a flailing franchise, since the, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton type days. It's good to kind of see them, have a moment. So I'm pulling for them in that way, just because I think it'd be a nice thing to kind of shake up in the Eastern Conference. There's not a lot of dominant teams anyway. So I like the way that they look, and I like the way that they're playing. And I hope that they can continue it into the second half of the season and hopefully have a playoff run that makes some sense for them.
Yeah, they had a little, I think they looked good last year in the playoffs. And I'm not knocking Bickerstaff. I want to get that. I just know that, like I said, he was the coach of the Cavs, and, they got rid of him. He couldn't win with that roster. But whatever he's doing in Detroit is working, and it is I got to give props to Detroit. They sucked for a long time. They hit their draft picks right. They put the right veterans in place with their cap space, and you see the benefit of that. I just wish that also could happen with some other team called the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, well, totally different everything. Different organization, different owner. Yeah.
I have to throw that in there, that you see a team going from so bad to now be playing so well.
Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe it's the environment.
I don't know.
The Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors, second seed currently. They're playing well, too. A lot of similarities to the Pistons. Very young team. Young team with, I would say, a nice top 15 to 30 player kind of roster. If that makes any sense. You got Scotty Barnes. You got RJ Barrett. You got Brandon Ingram. Like, they've got guys that can play. Okay, so we can start there. And then I think everything else just surrounds the cohesion of a team and everyone knowing their role. If right now, and this is just off the top of your head, who's the star of the Toronto Raptors? Who's the one star?
The biggest name is Brandon Ingram.
Would you say that he's their best player?
I'd say Scotty Barnes is their best player.
That's my point. Like, that's a flexibility. So even with Brandon Ingram, and we know that he's talented, he's moved around quite a bit too, as a player that we know can play basketball.
Yeah.
And he's not horrible at anything. Like, he's a nice, well-rounded, long, athletic, forward. They've got him as a forward. I've always seen him as a 2-3 type player.
Yes.
But Scotty Barnes, he was, he came out, he had a lot of hype after his first and second season. He was rated very, very high just for a lot of his intangibles and things that he's able to do on the court. I like the way their team is structured. And I think that I don't know a lot about their bench, and a lot of these names aren't even that familiar, which makes me think that their wins could be a little fraudulent, but a win is a win. And if they can get out in front and keep a decent lead and stay at the top of the Eastern Conference and host some playoff series, I think that'll be beneficial for them. But what are your thoughts on the Raptors?
Yeah, I told you early when we were doing predictions that they're one of those teams that are pretty. They got a really good roster. Like, they're going to be, I think, right in the mix for a playoff spot. I don't think they stay at the top. I just don't. Like I said, you got to have depth. I don't think they have the depth for like a playoff run. I think they get into the playoffs because, when you look at the...
Because they're in the East. Yeah.
Because you're in the East. I mean, again, you look at the bottom and those bottom teams, you expected to be at the bottom. So the Raptors are taking advantage, I think, of a down year for the Pacers, down year for the Celtics. And again, with all the injuries in the NBA, I think they're taking advantage of that too in the East. So it'll shift. Like you said, it's really early. I do not expect them to stay at the top, but I could see them maybe being like a 6-7 seed.
Okay. All right. No, and that's fair.
That would probably be their
and that wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, I think that would be their ceiling of that high of a seed. I don't know if they host, have home court advantage, but again, good players, decent, like you said, pretty good roster of that core of their starters, and then after that, it kind of drops. So, but again, Toronto does a really good job, man. They'll make moves if they're in the hunt. They'll make moves to improve that roster at the deadline next year, and they always find a way to stay relevant somehow. A very good, very well run organization.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, and I agree with that. And let's close out the Eastern Conference. Let's go to the Cleveland Cavs. We saw what they did last year. So the Cleveland Cavs were the 1 seed going into the playoffs last year and then got hit with the injury bug of all injury bugs. It felt like they were injured the entire postseason from Donovan Mitchell. I think Jared Allen actually missed some time. Like everybody was just kind of in and out of their lineup. And looking at their season so far, they're at a 3 seed right now. They've still had the injury bug hit them. This will be a shock to no one. Lonzo Ball being out with injuries. Yeah. Jared Allen out with some injuries. Max Strus, who's a really, really good role player, come off the bench to give your team some offense type player. But I think when the key is going to come down to Donovan Mitchell, he's an undersized guard. He's not going to be able to carry that team the way that a guard typically could have, in past generations. The league is just too competitive now. So they'll need a nice, well-rounded team to be able to advance throughout the Eastern Conference. They're going to learn some things from last year, where last year they just wanted to keep that 1 seed and hope that it propelled them through the playoffs. So hopefully they can make, Eastern Conference championship and maybe make it to the finals. And by playing so much and trying to keep that record intact, they ended up suffering those injuries. So I think they're going to try to coast a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if they fall anywhere between like 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
And then say, hey, okay, now we know that we're a good team. Let's turn it on and see if we can win some matchups in advance. But how do you feel about Cleveland?
I'm not a big fan, but I think this would be the season that they could sneak into the finals. But watch out for the Miami Heat. I underestimated the Miami Heat. They're right there with Cleveland, and I know we're not talking about the Miami Heat, but I just want to say that I underestimated them, even without Tyler Hero and some injuries on their side too. They're right there with Cleveland. They're right in the mix. But I would, New York, Philly. I think Orlando will get better. So with Cleveland, again, I'm not a huge fan. But again, in a season like this in the East, with the main teams having down years, I'll give them a shot. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they made it.
Got it. Yeah, and and like you said, the East is going to be more competitive than the West, and I can understand what you're saying. There'll be some flip flopping in this, in the standings, but when teams get to a 5-6 game lead in the NBA, it's really hard to overcome. And specifically when you get to the next topic, the Western Conference, it gets really tough. I mean, I think it was one season, I want to say it was the top 6 seeds were all like 3.5 games apart, just based on where the seedings were. It was that competitive, just based on where the standings are. And for the Western Conference, we're going to have to start with, the juggernaut, man. OKC. The Oklahoma City Thunder look like world killers. Another team, very young, very well coached, very well run organization, top to bottom. They know how to do it all. They have put together the perfect core unit of the super unselfish superstar in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Mm-hmm. Chet Holmgren as a high draft pick. Coming in, he may be their 3rd best player. If you had to pick right now,
he is.
So just think about that level of talent, and everyone understands that this is about team basketball and going out, playing your part, getting a win, and they've been beating teams' asses so bad that their starters really don't even have to play the 4th quarter. So that's where the advantages that Cleveland are trying to get now when trying to stay healthy, this is where OKC is going to shine. And not only that, they got young guys that's got young legs who love to get these regular season minutes, get their stats up, and hopefully get, advance at some point and get themselves a nice contract. So, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartstein, like they've got nice Jalen Williams, and then the other Jalen Williams. They're such a good team. And I think the culture within that locker room and everybody kind of understands that this is more big picture. Lou Dort, they got a good, nice, solid foundation. And I think it's their championship to lose.
Yes. It's not only there. I mean, they've been doing this without Jalen Williams, right? He was hurt. He's been hurt the first part of the season. The Thunder are the favorite. They showed it last year. They proved it. It doesn't matter. We talked about the East. It doesn't matter who comes out of the East. They're not winning the finals. The Thunder are the favorite, and if any team in the West happen to beat the Thunder, they're going to beat whatever team comes out of the East. And I don't know if you've heard this. I found this out maybe like a week or so ago, but just looking at it, the Thunder are already stacked and loaded. Another, maybe the best run organization in the NBA. They could possibly have 2 lottery picks because of trades this year.
Yes.
Because the Clippers are bad, the Jazz. They also own a Philadelphia pick I'm seeing here too. So they could have 5 picks in this upcoming draft. I mean, think about this. What they could do with those. They could either draft guys, they could trade. I mean, they've got so many options. They are so deep. I think this is, when you talk about dynasty, this is the start of a dynasty.
Well, and here's the thing, and I can agree with that. I think the thing that lends to it being a dynastic type of transition for OKC is not necessarily all the capital that they have. It's what they've done with it. They've drafted well. They've traded well. Mm-hmm. They've developed their talent. Mm-hmm. They've allowed their players to flourish. They were giving guys opportunities that at one point you were like, why are they playing this guy so many minutes? And then, like I said, like a guy like Hartenstein, like you saw him get better. Like you watched, Alex Caruso embrace being, the defensive stopper that we knew he could play.
Yeah.
But it's like, no. We're just going to let that guy go out there and be our killer. They've allowed guys to actually play within the structure that they set that fits for winning basketball. And I think that is a bigger being able to get talent always helps. But outside of SGA, none of these guys were world beaters to you. Chet Holmgren was, the skinny kid that was going to be drafted. I thought that dude was going to break in half, man. Yeah. I didn't think he was going to be. And he hasn't even reached his best potential. He's not even as good as he's going to get yet.
All right.
And they're ready. Guys are, and this is how the NBA goes. It's a salary cap sport. They're going to have to trade some of these guys. They can't pay them all. No. That's where it's going to be beneficial to them because they've got guys that work say, hey, we can trade this guy because we can't pay him $40 million a year. And we got somebody on the bench that's just as good. Then we can go draft someone and then bring them in and develop them to maybe take a spot, for another starter in the next, 2 or 3 seasons. So that's where the benefit is. It's not just about the capital and the picks and all that. All of that's great to have. I agree with you. But we see teams that get great picks all the time and they blow them. We see teams that get good talent and don't develop them. And it's only as beneficial to you as you make it. And OKC with a bullet has made the best of what they've had available to them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like they're very well run. So you're exactly right. They make it count when they have these picks. And make these trades. They've done a great job. I mean, again, the trade for Caruso made the difference in winning that NBA championship. And again,
yes, great trade. Yes.
Yeah, like I was saying, not just having that capital, but like you said, they make it count. So I'm not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is still an advantage to a team who doesn't need anybody. Like they don't need anyone, but they're probably going to gain 2 lottery picks. And God help the
Gotcha.
NBA if they get the number one and they get Cameron Boozer from Duke. You can everybody else can just quit. They can just stop.
I mean, listen.
Let them get the first pick.
Got.
Let those lottery balls behind closed doors get the Thunder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm super impressed, and yeah, they're the favorite. And again, the East is playing for second place.
Got it. And I'll say this I'll leave it here. Out of all the teams in the NBA that have a winning record right now, all the teams that have a winning record above 500, the OKC Thunder are the youngest.
Yeah, I mean, they're so good. You have to appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's great to see, and their basketball is good to watch. I enjoy
it. Really
watching
is.
them play.
It really is.
So let's go ahead and move to the next team. Let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. So we know they've got my favorite nickname for an NBA player. I don't know if you've heard this name. I know. So when it comes to the Joker, I know you heard of him called the Joker. Have you heard anyone call him Big Honey?
No.
Big Honey is a translation of a name that he was called, back in his home country. It translates to Big Honey, and it's just because like his game is so sweet and smooth. I love that name. The Denver Nuggets. We know that they're a formidable team. We know that Aaron Gordon has had a tremendous year, alongside Nikola Jokic. But what are your thoughts on Denver? How do you feel about them advancing? Not necessarily advancing, but how do you think the regular season is going to play out for them?
I think they're going to give the Thunder their best shot come playoff time. If it comes down to these two, like you said, Jokic, he's averaging a triple double. He might be the best player in the world. They added some pieces. They made some deals. So, adding Tim Hardaway Jr., Cam Johnson, Valanciunas. They brought back Bruce Brown. They got the depth that they were missing the last few seasons.
I agree.
So it's not all, hey, Murray, Jokic, go do it. Christian Brown's gotten better. Aaron Gordon's playing great. So they will be dangerous. And again, they've been there. So as much as we said we love the Thunder, and we do, the Nuggets are right there. They have been champion as well. And again, they have arguably the best player in the world. Like we mentioned in a previous podcast, it's SGA, it's Jokic, and it's Luka and Giannis, right? I mean, there's like
Giannis,
four.
yeah.
Yeah, there's four. And we picked Giannis kind of like saying, who would you take right now? I mean, it's hard to say. I might have changed my pick. I would take Giannis. Anybody would take Giannis. But Jokic is right. Obviously, he's right there. Multiple-time MVP. Average of triple-doubles, a big man, the way he plays. But the Nugget team in itself, like I said, I like their depth. I like their experience. I think they'll be right there.
I agree with you on the Nuggets. I'll make mine short and sweet.
Yep.
I think that they are doing their best OKC Thunder impersonation. The only difference is that they went with veterans as opposed to young talent, which I don't mind. You mentioned Tim Hardaway Jr., Cam Johnson is a sneaky 29 years old, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the one thing that I'll say, more than Cam Johnson being 29 years old, the thing that shocks me the most about their roster is the fact that Jamal Murray is actually younger than him.
Wow.
Jamal Murray is 28. And I think, and this is not a shot at Jamal Murray, I think that he is kind of their Achilles heel in a lot of ways, because through a lot of their playoff runs, he gets hurt. And you need someone that can step up and fill those shoes. He's such a ball-dominant player, facilitator, scorer, and he plays so well with Jokic. But at the same time, when he got hurt, it's like, do we really have enough group of guys that can fill that? I think now they do, And I do think it's a lot of addition by subtraction because getting Michael Porter Jr. out of there, I think was a great benefit for them as well. This allows that offense to flow the way that it's designed to without guys taking bad shots.
Yeah.
So I'm going to agree with you on that. And I do like Denver, man. I think they're a strong contender to OKC.
Definitely.
And at the end of it, I think it does come down to them, to those two teams. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about your Los Angeles Lakers.
I know you ain't talking to me.
Your Los Angeles Lakers, who just got LeBron back, and I like the way they're going to work him in. They're going to give him some time. They're going to allow him to kind of ease his 41-year-old body into the season, which is the proper way to go. They're sitting comfortably. They're going to be sitting comfortably in that 3 to 5 spot, probably for the next couple of months. How do you feel about the Lakers as they advance? We know they've got talent. We know they're getting LeBron back, but do you think it's real what we're seeing from them?
I do. I mean, Luka. We knew Luka was a baller. We knew he was a killer. He showed it in Dallas. He just was, his motivation and his diet was bad, right? So he did the work in the offseason. He showed it. He took it serious. He's coming out, averaging damn near 35 points a game. And then was you banking on Austin Reeves to come out and play as well as he's playing? He hadn't been like that, right? Not what is it, 26? What I got here? 28 points a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about the Eagles, Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship. The Lakers have their exciting whites in Luka and Austin Reeves.
Yes, they do. They've got hold on, and I'm gonna give them credit, man. They balling.
They are.
Like Dalton Connect is a hooper.
Oh,
Austin Reeves is a baller, and we talked about this before in a previous episode, man. They're all on generous contracts. You kind of have to when you got Luka and LeBron making top dollars,
yeah.
Right? They got DeAndre Ayton on the cheap for $8 million a year. And this is just me kind of going into my sports business side of stuff. I love looking at the contracts and just how teams are structured. Rui's making, I think, a very modest for his talent and his skill set. I feel like Rui could be a number 2 on any other team in the league. That's just my belief in him. He's making $18 million a year. Oof. So they've got some room, and obviously we know that when LeBron retires, who knows when, that money will come off the books. It'll free things up. They also got Marcus Smart, really cheap.
Yeah.
Former, whether you believe it was warranted or not, defensive player of the year, $5 million a year. So they've got some flexibility, and I love something that you said about how OKC could make if they know that they can make a move, they've got the capital to be able to make a move. So do the Lakers.
Yes.
I don't know if they're smart enough to. I don't know if that front office is savvy enough to do it. But to make a championship run with LeBron and Luka, it would be wise for them to do so. I don't know who you go with or what you try to do, but their core is solid. LeBron, Luka, Rui, Ayton, Connect, Reeves, Marcus Smart. If they traded for a killer, which with that core, they'll be able to do. I think it propels them into that category with OKC and Denver. I just don't trust them to do it.
I do trust them because as dumb as Dallas was to trade Luka, they were smart enough to trade for him. And this is what's got to happen with the Lakers, I believe. Like some of the numbers are inflated, right? LeBron's been out. And we know LeBron can produce, and we know he can still play. LeBron's going to have to be like Shaq in Miami. Is that a good comparison, maybe?
I think so.
Or if we go back to your Peyton Manning with the Broncos and that defense. Like LeBron, I don't think LeBron has to be the star. I think, again, this is the transition we've seen coming. They got Luka for a reason. He's the guy. He's the next guy. Let them keep doing what they're doing. and let LeBron be a piece. I know that's crazy to say because he's arguably the best player ever, depending on who you ask. But we all know, again, he is LeBron James. He is one of the greatest players to ever step foot on the court. Even at his age, he can still put up and do whatever he wants. But I think he doesn't have to be the man. He doesn't have to be the guy. He can be a piece, and he's a smart enough basketball player to do that. But like I said, the Ayton numbers, the Rui number, Hachimura, they're going to go down, and Reeves will go down. Luka, again, you got to let LeBron get in and get his. Yeah, and when you talk about making moves, I don't think they got to go get a killer. I think they just, if they go get a shooter, if they go get another defender, Marcus Smart obviously is a great defender, and that's going to help. LeBron's a great defender. But I would say go get that. Go get another piece, but not like a killer. I just think another piece. You know what I mean? Just go get.
I'll have to see it. Yeah, I mean, I laughed. I didn't want to throw you off when you were making your take it. You were saying how they were smart enough to trade for Luka. I think any manager at a Burger King would be smart enough to trade for Luka to get AD out of here. You know, like it wasn't some brilliant move, you know, that they made.
That's true.
You know, so
but they did make it, though.
If you want to give them credit for that, sure.
Hey,
right?
They picked up the phone and answered.
And signed the paperwork and sent the fax over, and I get it. They got it notarized.
They answered Nico's phone call.
Yeah,
that's all they had to do was pick up.
I got a 2-year-old that I could have answered that same phone call and make that trade, but you know, I will have to see. I don't. And the other thing is, and I'll end it on this. We're still talking about LeBron. And I don't think that LeBron has conceded the I want a say in what's going on in this organization type thing. And the one thing LeBron's really, really good at is the sneak dissing and the being subtle, whiny NBA superstar who has it all, but he's still going to whine and complain because he doesn't get his way.
Yeah.
And if they trade someone or move someone that he just happens to like on their team to get a better player, I'm not going to say I could see him ruining the chemistry or sabotaging things, but I could absolutely see it becoming a talking point. Even if it's after the season, it's like, yeah, well, they made that move. It didn't work out for the Lakers, and LeBron didn't want them to make that trade, but they did it anyway. That's just something else. We've heard it about LeBron his entire career. If something like that happened, it would not shock you.
No, it would not at all. He's got an ego, for sure. So
yes, he does.
That is the one thing we can talk about LeBron. You know, he does like that spotlight, but again, it will take him taking a role on this team and not be the guy on this team for them to go.
Got it. Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, so our last topic for this NBA heavy episode is we're going to go ahead and talk about LaMelo Ball again. Now, it's going to be different than the previous conversations that we had. Recently, there had been rumblings and reports, anonymous reports that have come out about how LaMelo Ball wanted to be traded from the Hornets. Since those reports have come out, LaMelo Ball has said on social media and in other outlets that, nope, that's not what he's looking for, that he loves the city of Charlotte, he likes playing for the Hornets, and he is not currently seeking a trade. Now, the interesting thing about this is I've never been a big fan of the anonymous reports, especially when it comes to something that is so sensitive about a player requesting a trade. That can cause contention amongst a player in the front office, their agents, other teams reaching out, trying to make trade deals. You never know how it's going to go, and you never really know what someone's thinking. So I don't know if this was just some BS report by someone who just wanted to make a headline and was like, you know what, flashy name, Hornets are struggling, let's see what we can put out there and see what can come of it. But when you heard the news, what kind of came to your mind surrounding the rumblings of LaMelo wanting a trade?
Yeah, so first off, I got mad, right? As a fan and a fan of Melo being on the Hornets, before he came out and said, "Nah, this guy's a clown. It's not me. It's false info." I got mad because I'm like, how can you be frustrated? Because it said he was frustrated with the Hornets, and I'm like, how can you be frustrated? You never play. How can someone be frustrated with losing when you're not on the court to help? And I'm a Melo fan, but I am honest about that. He does stay injured a lot. But again, I'm like, I can't put those two in. That one was the one where it's like, that doesn't make sense to me. That you could be frustrated with the team, and again, you're not really on the court. So how can you be that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't compute. So luckily, like I said, he did come out, clown emoji, did the interview, and said, "Nah, it wasn't me. Like, I love it here. I want to be here. It didn't come from me, so that source is wrong." So like you said, I don't know what the source was. Whoever this person was, I mean, put them in the category of media just saying stuff to say stuff without any proof. Or maybe there is proof. We never know in sports, right? Stuff said all the time anonymously out of locker rooms, things like that. The other thing that got me about this, and we go back to the media, this was, how verified was this? This report, because Windhorse is on ESPN talking about it. Yahoo is posting it. CBS Sports is doing trade ideas. Now that, you said it was reported. It was just out there. Like, a rumor happens, and now it's story everywhere. Bleacher Report everywhere. So I'm like, how do you do that? It's always fun to talk trades. We talk trades. Do it. Yeah, go for it.
No, and I'm going to do it because my position on this is objective, because I've been saying trade LaMelo before the season started. Okay, so objectivity oozing out of my pores right now on this topic alone. I feel like I have exclusivity to speak on this intelligently for two reasons. One, because I said get LaMelo's ass out of here before the season started.
Yeah.
And two, I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
And I hate social media. And this is a reason why. Because something is just said and it spreads like wildfire and everyone just says it. And in my prior life, and when I use that term specifically, spread like wildfire. In my prior life, I was a firefighter. Mm-hmm. And I think people are amazed at how quickly while you use that terminology, how quickly a fire can spread.
Yeah.
It is destructive. It is fast. You can't think. You panic. And I think that's what happened when you heard it. It was as if everything was on fire. It's like, no, what are you talking about? And the first thing you did by default, and I can't knock you for this, you got defensive. Mm-hmm. You started to insult him. You started to call him into question for an anonymous report that came out. And again, that's not on you. It came out. It was being spoken about. So we had to give it some level of seriousness until he came out and had a rebuttal to the report saying, no, this is nonsense. Yeah. But this what happens. It stokes the flames, to use another fire analogy. People see and hear the things that they want to hear. And then they make their assumptions, they make their judgments and their criticisms from that. And so anybody who was looking for a glimmer of light to trash LaMelo Ball, there it was. Now I can bash him. The people who had been LaMelo Ball supporters, much like you. Mm-hmm. You've been a LaMelo fan since he was drafted.
Yeah.
You've been supporting this guy as a Hornet, even through his injuries. You're like, yeah, man, I just wish he'd stay healthy, stay on the court. But the second you thought that he had a little bit of saltiness toward the organization, you kind of flipped on him. So, Logoff legend, man, hater of social media. This is why I hate social media, because these things just take on a life of their own. And honestly, it's outside of our hands. It's outside of the Hornets' hands. It's outside of the NBA's hands. It's outside of LaMelo's hands. People start talking, and then offers get made. And people start looking at contracts. And people start having, the first take segments about it. And then it just keeps it going and getting bigger and bigger. So I don't knock you for your position on that. I understand how you feel. You were against the LaMelo trade. I tried to make, we had conversations about it.
Yeah.
So I know that you were against it, but when that news came out, we texted each other instantly, and immediately you showed your fangs. And I think that's what the anonymous report was intended to do. I hate social media. I'm going to suggest that everybody logs off, much like myself, and stop reading this nonsense, because a lot of it's not real. It doesn't mean anything.
You're right. I would say this. People like me, like I said, we call this fanatically speaking for a reason, because we're fans, and I would say I'm a fanatic. When it comes
you're definitely more a fanatic right. than I am. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so the report, not only like social media, but like I just said, man, I mean, it was on every major outlet. Like, it was Bleacher Report, it was Yahoo, then ESPN. So you have to kind of say, okay, maybe this is true. And again,
hold on. Do you want to let's have this conversation. There's one reason why. It's because it grabs the headlines. It's because it gives the reaction that you had. Now take that and multiply it by millions.
True.
That's why they're, like you said, Windhorse talking about it on ESPN as if it's a legitimate topic. They ran with it. They were like, whoa, this is blazing the internet right now. We have to talk about it so that we can get our clicks too.
So, and here's why. Because like you said, there's I think it's split probably in Charlotte, right? Half the people want Melo gone, half don't. Maybe less than half want him gone. But I read comments, and we know these people. And again, I get mad. Like I said, I explained. I get mad because, once again, it made no sense. Like, I know athletes. I would be upset regardless, because athletes request trades all the time, and when they're your top players, as a fan of those teams and those players, you do take it. You get upset. But I think it made big news because it's something that I think a lot of the league and fans have waited on. They think that that's the trade. They're waiting for LaMelo Ball. Again, we know his daddy. So they've been waiting for him to say, "Get me out of this small market. Put me on a major."
He's a hot commodity. He's a flashy name.
Exactly. So
he's incredibly popular with young people.
Yeah.
If he gets traded, I don't care where he gets traded. I don't care. He could get traded to OKC. He can get traded to the Lakers. He's going to sell more jerseys than SGA.
Yeah.
He's going to sell more jerseys than Luka and LeBron.
Yeah.
That the dude moves units.
Yeah.
He is and this is the thing. I don't think he's a star level. I don't think he's an all-star level talent just yet. He's there. He can get there. But he is a star personality in the league.
Mm-hmm. He's talented.
And that's why the story was so big, even though it does turn out to be some bullshit.
Yeah. But like you said, it's big because of that. It's the trade rumor that everyone's been waiting on. Like I said, they've been waiting on something from him. Not necessarily the Hornets to say we're going to trade Melo, but it's from him. So that made it big. I just, and I told y'all this, and now I go back and forth. I said the one trade that I would sign off on as a fan would be LaMelo for Ja Morant. And that was on a night where I was frustrated from watching the Hornets, lose another game. They don't, so I don't know.
But here's the thing. I mean, I think that's, 5 in one, a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. Do you really want Ja Morant? Look at all the issues.
Not now.
The issues that Ja Morant has, you don't have with LaMelo.
I mean,
other than the injuries, everything externally. So I mean, and I do think Ja as a player is a bigger name, but at the same time, it's like what do you really? You're gonna have to give something up to get Ja, and his career is what it is. I think they're comparable in terms of being basketball talents, but I don't think that makes the Hornets any better. It was a sad situation. I hate it when things like this come out, and now someone who has nothing to do with the accusations and the rumors has to come out and defend himself. And I think that's the thing that bothers me the most. It's kind of like someone, who is accused of cheating and has never cheated a day in their life, but someone brands them as a cheater, and then now they got to come out and clean their name up.
Yeah,
like those are the things that upset me.
And he said that, right? He was like, they were like, why didn't you comment immediately? He's like, well, I normally don't take this stuff serious. And then he said, it got out to other outlets.
And then it got popular.
He's like, I got to talk about it. Yeah, I would not. I rethought that text that I sent about the Ja Morant, especially after Ja's yapping at Klay Thompson. Yeah, I would not make that trade. I'm going to stick to my guns and not trade LaMelo Ball. And I apologize for the things I said in my text.
Don't apologize.
But at the
Don't
time,
apologize.
like I said,
you felt the way you felt.
At the time, it was coming off of, again, my view, like I said, is about you're not on the court enough to be frustrated with the team and the organization. And that was coming off a night where he shot 5 for 21, and they lost. They got blown out. So, yeah, that's where I was coming from. But, yeah, these reports, like I said, I told you, man, these media members, I think anybody could be in the media. Just say things, Maybe that's what we should start doing. Maybe we'll become become popular.
I would never
random
do it.
Crazy stuff. No, and we said that. We're not going to do that for a hot take or a view or a click or whatever.
No, there's the Twitter accounts that I know exist. There's the fake Sports Center account.
Yeah.
There's the fake Adam Schefter account. There's the fake remember the fake Odell Beckham Jr. account.
Yeah.
Like it's again. Here it goes.
Yeah.
I complain about the internet. This is the type of stuff that happens,
Yep.
and it has real consequences and it has real effects. And unfortunately, it happened across a sport that you love and a team that you're loyal to and a player that you want to keep. But I'll close everything by saying this. I meant what I said. Trade LaMelo's ass. Get him out of here. And I said that at the beginning of the year before all of that came out. So I don't have a problem with somebody having to take. But I would have never, as much as I wanted LaMelo to get traded, I would have never put out some nonsense like that saying that he's requesting a trade just to get him moved out of here. I was saying for the Hornets to do it because I feel like it's in their organization's best interest. So I'm not moving off that. I'm fine if you want to change your position and say, hey, you know what? I didn't mean the things that I said about LaMelo, and I do want to keep him here. That's fine. It's just another place where we're going to differ in opinion.
We will, and I just want to give you homework for another episode. You want Melo gone. Come back with some trade ideas.
No. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Because here's the thing. And I've told you this for years, Kent. It's the one thing that I love about you. You are the sports fan I could never be. You want the moon. You want the moon, and you know what? You want some stars too. And maybe the sun. Yep. You just don't want to trade. You want it all. Hey. And I don't think that there's a package. Let me put it like this. I don't think there's a realistic package that I could put together that you would accept for a LaMelo Ball trade. And that's just my opinion. If you want me to make an attempt, maybe we'll have some fun the next time. Yeah. I'll try.
That's right.
I'll try, but here's the thing: it's got to be it's got to be reasonable.
Oh, for sure, I get that. I understand that.
You can't get all the picks and a star and future first picks, and it's not gonna happen.
So I can't get Giannis and 5 first rounders.
You cannot get Giannis and 5 first rounds. And their first round, and the rookie that they draft. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. No.
And Doc Rivers.
No, it's not. Doc no, you can't have all of it. Right. No, okay. It's not going to happen.
All right, that's another episode of Fanatically Speaking. Again, I am Kent, the co-host and promoter.
I am Logoff, the Logoff legend, the hater of social media. I've already told y'all why I hate social media. Now you can see it clear as day. I'm the co-host and producer of the show. Thanks for listening to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. We are on all the platforms, anywhere you can get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, anywhere, YouTube, any podcast platforms, we're available. Kent, do you want to rattle off the socials?
Yeah. It's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Again, go to those just to stay up to date. But again, yeah, go listen, like, follow, share, download, all that stuff. Want to grow. We cannot grow if you don't share it, if you don't listen. And that's what we need, man.
Yes, yeah. Interact, ask questions, comments, direct message, doesn't matter. Yeah, just interact with us. And chances are, whatever you give to us, we'll be able to mention on the show. Always looking for ideas. We got ideas for days, but just kind of hear what people are interested in, what they like, what they don't like. Give me the criticisms. I don't care. I ain't scared of none of you people. All right, man. That's it. That's all I got. You good?
Yep. Let's kill it.
All right. Let's go ahead and kill it.